Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, I am Lydia. I'm an energy healer. I work with the mind, body, and soul to help accelerate consciousness, but today is a little bit of a different video, and this video has been one heavy on my heart for a couple months now, and since it's June, since it's Pride Month, it just feels right to talk about this. So today, we're going to be talking about why I'm gay and not going to Pride. This has been heavy on my heart for a long time because I was super deeply indoctrinated into the LGBTQ movement, all of it. I was deeply a part of a lot of their rhetoric, a lot of what created the community. I was deep in all of the stereotyping. I was at one point a union leader at a Starbucks, which is pretty left-leaning. It's pretty intense. So I was right up there with each and every one of them, the ones that are still showing their faces now. But something that I did do throughout my journey was heal and learn how to not be controlled by my labels or being victimized. And so that is the perspective that I'm coming into with this video, is to expose and maybe even just trigger a little bit of different thoughts or conversations in your mind around the community and what's going on, and maybe some changes that need to take place or some healing that needs to take place at the root level. So let's get into it. For some context, I came out in 2019, right before the fun COVID-19 2020 situation that happened, which brought in a lot more political indoctrination and all of this stuff. So I was right there in the middle with all of this cult mentality, and we'll go into why I believe that the LGBTQ community has turned into a cult. We don't have to stay a cult, but it has. As someone that has experienced cults in the past, I'm able to kind of identify and see things that I wasn't able to see before, and so that's why I'm going to bring a different type of conversation here. So first of all, something that happens with a lot of queer individuals is you're separated from your religion, right? Because most religions, and a lot of religions, specifically Christianity in America, has this rhetoric and has this conversation that gay people are sinful, they're sinners, and that their lifestyle is bad. So if you're already being pushed out of one community, a community that's supposed to be of love, that's supposed to be of, feeling the energy of Jesus and all of this stuff, if you're already being pushed out and told that you're a sinner, where do you expect those people to go? They're going to go in the opposite direction. They're going to run, and they're going to try to find a community somewhere else. For a lot of people, when you're alienated from the church, you're going to be pushed into the LGBTQ community, which is similarly a cult. Okay? And so why I say this is because when you're moving away from something that is so important to your life, at least for me it was, my religion, and I lost all of my friends, I lost all of my relationships with people and mentors in my life, I slowly, was like, what do I believe in? If that's what God is, then I don't want to be a part of that, because I really don't want to be gay in this moment, but I've tried and I've prayed and I've prayed and I've prayed, and nothing has taken this away. So I have to do something. Might as well accept myself, right? So then you go into the gay community and they're like, yay, you're gay. Love is love. Love is love. You are so loved. We are your family now. We are your community. And that's a red flag if you've ever been in cults. They often like to say, we are your family. You can separate from your other family, as well as love bombing. So there's an initial love bombing that goes into this community because they want you to feel loved. They want you to feel welcome. And that's something I really do appreciate about it, but it's a fine line that we have to walk in this community. Is this a cult, or is this a beautiful community, okay? So as you go deeper into this community, the more that you are loved and appreciated and accepted, you start to realize that you're only loved and appreciated and accepted if you believe the same things. And this is where it got a little bit difficult for me when I started healing my relationship with myself. Because one thing that I noticed within the community is that there is this deep need and desire to be a victim. And it's really difficult to talk to anyone in this community without them having to label themselves without them having to talk about what mental illnesses they have, what type of, gender dysphoria they're experiencing, and all of this stuff. The baseline of this community in this moment is built on mental illness and instability. And it's really difficult to create a strong foundation and a community on those things when your foundation is already crumbling. So again, as I said, I came out in 2019, then 2020 came. And you soon are just ushered into this political agenda, this political ideology. And if you're in the community, you're assumed to believe the same thing as everyone else in the community. This very radically left perspective, this very, pro-vaccine, pro anything else on the left, really. And if you don't align with that, then you're not in the group, you're out, you're kicked out. So in any way to stay in the community, because you don't have your church family, you've alienated from your actual family, and so what are you holding on to? This gay community as well as your political ideology. So that is literally who you believe that you are at the end of the day when you're deep in this community. And so as you see so many people on the left that are very radical, they have so much energy and angst towards their political ideology and hatred towards a certain party, right? And this all stems from their relationship with themselves and their relationship with their families. Truly, if they had a greater relationship with their family that truly allowed and accepted them, there would be more conversation to be had here. But there truly is a separation that took place between these gay kids and their family. And I don't know if this was a rhetoric that took place in the LGBTQ community or if this just happened through, natural consequence, through the consequence of the church really translating the Bible in 1946, I believe, to change pedophilia to homosexuality. So when we changed pedophilia to homosexuality, there then became this very large surge of individuals that, are very ashamed of who they are. Deep shame incorporated into their bones, feeling like they are a sin. You can't run away from the sin. If the Bible says that I am a sinner, then I'm deeply, deeply a sinner, and this is something I feel like I can't run away from. So yes, there is this kind of conversation and rhetoric of unaliving yourself. It's a very vulnerable community because of the emotional and mental turmoil that takes place in being someone different, in being someone that is separate from the church's idea of what a good person is, right? So when you're already separated from what the church says is good, and then you find your community that says you're good just the way you are, you're gonna probably fit with those people, right? But again, in this community, there's this groupthink or hive mentality around conversation, around politics, that you do not step outside of the box at all in accordance with politics or your ideas. And if you go outside the box, then you're going outside the community and you're no longer going to fit in. And it's a really difficult thing because all of these young individuals are meant to have these beautiful, bright ideas to change the world in some respect, to change the way that we view gay people. And yet it's very closed-minded. It's very in a box. It's very politically charged. And it makes it hard to be a part of that community with the intention of loving one another. Because when you're in a community that endorses killing people, that endorses, again, assassinating people, that it endorses harming or separating or cutting off people in your life because they have a different ideology, that makes it really difficult to be on the same side as them. For me personally, because my rhetoric and my conversation in life is to love. That is what I do on this planet. I am here to love in whatever way that looks. And I can love both sides. I can love all sides. I can love all different categories of life. And yet this community says you can only love those that are in the community. Because love is love here, but love doesn't exist anywhere outside the community. There is this conversation that if anyone doesn't validate your pronouns or your sexuality, then these vulnerable populations are going to unalive themselves. And I don't think that is a good way at all to convey this message. I do not think that is that to me is emotional manipulation, and that goes back into the cult mentality. It's not healthy for anyone. We want to have conversations. Let's have conversations about how to heal this community. And I really do think it starts with healing our shame around ourselves. The rooster confirmed. So while going through my healing journey, I learned to let go of all of these labels that I felt like I needed to have to be in the community. I had to label my sexuality. I had to label my gender. I had to be confused about my gender. And that was really difficult for me, as there is this kind of pushing of, what is your gender? What is gender expression? Everything is changing. I'm confused. I wake up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I don't know who I am. I don't know how I want to express in a day. And gender dysphoria is something that is so real, and it is so difficult. And I really do not encourage this to be pushed onto young kids. There's also this mentality within the LGBTQ community that you need to be the most oppressed out of everyone, and you need to be the most politically correct out of everyone. Those standards of living are very, very difficult, especially if you're on your healing journey, if you're trying to get away from labels, if you're trying to get away from this victimized mentality or this oppression mentality and trying to free yourself. When you're trying to free yourself from the system, the LGBTQ plus community is not one that actually initiates this, even though they say, be free, love yourself, be yourself, and they're trying to promote this authenticity movement. There's just some errors in the way that make it difficult to actually perceive that, right? If it was all about you being authentic and being yourself, then anyone's political ideology could be correct to them because that's their freedom, right? That is not the case in this community. And again, on the oppression thing, I kind of was taught or believed that anytime that I would go out into public that I was going to get stared at, that I was going to get hate crimed, that people didn't like me, people wanted me to die. And then I left the community and I left the left, if you will, and I realized that was not the case. I realized people were staring at me and looking at me, maybe because I have a beautiful energy, maybe because I have a bold personality, maybe it's because I like to wear lots of colors. It doesn't mean that they hate me or believe that I should die because I'm gay. And it's crazy that I believed that for so long. I believed that people truly didn't want me to exist because I was gay. And in some situations, there are that happening. There is that happening, and it's actually starting to grow a lot more since these woke activists have come online in a very big way. So there's also this idea that everyone around you needs to validate your gender and sexuality. That you can't just explore it yourself, that everyone around you needs to know exactly who you are sleeping with and exactly what you believe your gender ideology is. And to an extent, I understand this because I was also in that group. But at the same time, now that I walk away from it, there really is deep importance to be able to validate yourself and your own sexual orientation and your own gender ideology without other people around you needing to validate you. Because if you're only looking for people outside of you to validate your own internal conflict, then you're never actually going to find this middle place. You're always going to be separate from yourself. But when you truly understand how to validate yourself and your own sexual identity and your own gender ideology without other people needing to validate it, then you don't need anyone else's approval. You're not going to force other people to use your gender pronouns. For a very long time, I used they, them pronouns. Most people referred to me as they. Okay? So I understand. I am in the same boat. But once I realized it doesn't really matter, people are going to see me in whatever way that they see me. All that matters is how I see me, my connection with myself, my connection with my divinity as well. So this is something I would love to encourage many of you, if you are in the community that is having a struggle with this of, I don't know, I want to be referred in this way. You can still ask for it, and I suggest that, truly. I still am going to respect people's pronouns and how they want me to use them because I respect you as an individual, but don't expect every single person to do that. Not everyone is as respectful. That is the way that the world works a little bit. Yes, we would love to encourage and change the world through love, but look at yourself in the mirror first. You have to love yourself first. You have to validate yourself first. You have to encourage yourself to be the strongest, most capable version of yourself first. You can't expect other people to do that for you, okay? Just got on my rant. And like I said, there's this forced political agenda in the community that if you don't fit within that political ideology, then you're not fitting in, then you're no longer loved in the community. And that's a really harmful way to go about this. And I'm gonna say it, it's just the same as saying if you're gay, you don't fit into the church. Sorry, not sorry, y'all are just being hypocrites. And the last, but probably most important part of all of this, beyond even just the cult mentality, because there's cults all over the world, everything has a lot of cult origins to it, and this is something we're healing as a society. But on top of all of this, something that is so important about why I'm not attending Pride is the indoctrination of children. The manipulation and the, gender ideology that is being pressed on children in this moment. Continuing on, for Pride Month specifically, there is so much of this over-sexualizing of this community. And I understand that this community is based on our sexuality, but for so many people, our gayness or our queerness is not just about sex. It's about the relationship. It's about the beautiful connections that we have with people that we love and we enjoy being around. And when we're over-sexualizing it, it makes it very uncomfortable for many of the adults in the situation, as well as the kids that are coming in that are just seeing everything around being so sexualized, believing that they should be that sexualizing, and all of this stuff. I really just don't think it's that healthy for kids, especially those before puberty, to be indoctrinated into this type of situation. And I do think that people are allowed to have, their sex parties and all that stuff, but make it, if you're going to have a pride parade that has nudity, that has a lot of, very sexualizing things, maybe having a collar, have it 18 plus only. We need to have separate areas where kids can be involved, where they can understand themselves and they can feel into their authenticity, and adults can have their own separate thing. Let's not continue to bring pedophilia and homosexuality back together. That's what the church has always wanted us to do. They've always wanted us to be one, and it has never been that way. Let's continue to separate pedophilia and homosexuality. Those two don't go hand in hand. So please, please, people that are creating these pride festivals, stop bringing these people in, or just, at the end of the day, respect yourself and respect others. It's so great to do that, right? Isn't it? One thing about the community that I also am having a difficult time is the conversation of detransitioning is not being had. The conversation of all of these young kids that were forced into transition through their therapist, through their school counselors, through their teachers that said, oh, you feel differently than other people, you must be trans. What this is doing is also creating a stronger connection with gender stereotyping. If you don't like a certain thing, if you're a girl that likes to, play a lot of sports, that you enjoy just wearing shorts and not skirts, you don't like wearing dresses, you don't have to be a boy. You don't have to be a boy. You can be yourself. And that's what we're moving into, this authenticity movement of just being yourself, showing up as yourself, not needing to be labeled by anything, not needing to be put into a box of who you need to be and how you need to show up. Just be yourself. Love yourself. You are truly a gift from God. Truly, truly. I wish I could say that more and more. You are all gifts of God, and you are meant to be here exactly the way that you're meant to be. I do believe that there are a lot of gay and trans individuals that are on this earth right now to disrupt and disturb the systems of the church and politics. I do believe that we are all here intentionally. The vibrations that we're bringing to the planet are intentional to change the way that the world is working. Yes, I do believe that. I do believe that society is changing, but I also think we need to go about it in a very respectful way. It is not meant for us as the gay community now to turn to straight people and be like, you guys are bigots, you guys are the worst people ever because you suppressed us for so long, yada, yada, yada. I don't think that's what we need to be doing. I think that now that the table has turned and gay people really have a voice, it's been 10 years since we've had gay marriage. Give people a break, okay? okay? It's been such a long lifetime where gay marriage hasn't been legal, and it's only been 10 years. Some people are going to need time to process and deconstruct their ideas around gay people, okay? So we, as gay people, need to give grace to the rest of the community, and the rest of the community needs to give grace to gay people, okay? I really do believe that grace and love and harmony is really the solution to all of these things, and fighting from the place of love is love does nothing good. It really doesn't. So what I'm going to say to you moving forward is lead by example. If you want people to accept you and you want people to love you, you have to love yourself first. This is not an easy time for humanity, but what we do need to do is learn to respect one another and give grace to one another during these transitional phases through consciousness. It can be uncomfortable, it can be hard to navigate and see that everything around you is changing, the old ways of living is changing, the old ways of being is changing, and yet don't put yourself in a place of superiority or deep suppressed energy, okay? Just be you and love from the depths of your heart. You are meant to shine, you beautiful soul. For much of the church that still has a separation with gay people as being sinners, I encourage you to read the Mary Magdalene Gospels, where Jesus actually talks about sin not necessarily existing, but sin being a separation from your most authentic self. When you stray away from what your soul is asking you to do, that is when sin comes in. So for many of you that are living your most authentic life, that are living with your heart wide open and loving with your heart wide open, continue being you no matter what. You are so loved. And for those that are still trying to fit into societal norms, it's okay. It's a growing process. It's a learning process. Be you, and love wins. I love you all so much. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys in the next one. Make sure to subscribe and like. Mwah.